Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Barbie Dolls of the Week. This week, by the way, we are going to talk about one of my favorite all-time series for Barbie, and actually one of the series that first got me involved with collecting. And that is the Dolls of the World Barbies. There has been so many Dolls of the World over the years. I believe, if off the top of my head, I'm thinking that that series started in approximately 1980, 81. And I saw them when I was working at the mall. Imagine that. I worked at Sears for a number of years. And I believe when I first, because Sears didn't carry them, but when I first saw them, they were at Lazarus or Block store, was a more high-end department store, and they carried the fancier dolls. So this included the Dolls of the World, and I was just blown away by those dolls. And I want to show you a couple of the dolls first that were in that those first ones, or some of the first ones. And actually, I guess I could check the year on that. Um, so no, this is not the right one that I was thinking of. But here's one of the earlier ones. I have so many of these that I had to pick, maybe 6, 8 dolls to kind of highlight in a brief time. And then I think I'm going to do a second segment next week, continuing with more Dolls of the World. So I want to at least spend 2 segments on that subject. So this doll is from 1982. So this is one of the very early ones. But this is Swedish Barbie at the time. And you see her here. And I do like this doll. It's very sort of milkmaid looking, I guess. It says, "I'm from Sweden, long narrow country in Scandinavia, etc." Just trying to see. Women wear costumes something like mine at festival time. At one festival, which is Midsummer's Eve, people sing and dance around, etc. So, they tell you a little bit about the country. They tell you about something about the costume. At least back then they did. So, it was quite an informative box. It was a good way for the child to learn. They've got drawings of the doll and other things related to the country. They show you where it's at. So, I really liked the boxes too because they had a lot of good information. Nowadays, it's not quite as involved. So that's one of the very early Dolls of the World. Now, the other one is that I wanted to show you is this one, which is Parisian Barbie. Now, this is from 1990, actually. So I'm just trying to show you some throughout the different years. This is a Parisian Barbie. So there's actually one that was earlier than this that's very similar or somewhat similar. And you see, still have a lot of good information on them, tell about the country they're from. I did find that it was interesting that sometimes they dealt with an actual country, which is actually most of the time, and once in a while like that, they had a specific city. So I think that's kind of odd myself, but okay. Now, this is one of my favorites throughout the years, and it is an African American one. Well, actually, not not African American, just African. And this is Nigerian Barbie, as you see. Well, I guess you don't see it. It's down here at the bottom. Nigerian Barbie. And still has a lot of good information on the back about Nigeria, and shows you where it is. So they were still following the same way of doing it. And a nice drawing of the doll, which her hair looks great here, by the way. Hair looks good here. This always reminded me, by the way, of Magic Curl Barbie. Of course, that one is the African American version. Just a little. Now, I have one of these dolls out of the box, so I wanted to show you that. And her hair is, a little bit messed up. Needs a little fluffing from just, it settles. I think it kind of just settles because I didn't really mess with it. But, it's nice and poofy and quite big. And you see her outfit is traditional for the country, at least, certain times. And not every day, I'm sure, but And it's kind of hard to get her on the stand because of the outfit being kind of tight at the bottom. But this is Nigerian Barbie from the 90s. And let's see what date she actually is here. 90, oh no, I'm sorry, 89. I could have sworn she was 90s, but she's from 89. So this is Nigerian Barbie who needs some work on her hair. Or what might look good is just putting it in a kind of a little different style. So just something needs to be done though. So anyway, that's Nigerian Barbie. And then moving along, I'm going to go to another one that I have here that's loose. And I do have this one in a box, but I didn't bring this one in. This is the Thai Barbie at the time, from Thailand. And I love this costume. I think it was one of the best costumes they've done. Probably in the top 10, I would say. Just my opinion. And I always thought this was a cool doll. And like I said, in this case, the outfit, the costume makes all the difference. I think that was what was the best part about it. Because she's a fairly typical Asian doll. At the time, there really wasn't anything that distinctive about her. But it was just the costume. And later, I'm happy to say that the Asian dolls were more than just the regular Asian doll. They actually tried to differentiate between the countries. So I have one of those to show you, or actually two. This is a Dolls of the World Princess of Japan. So for a while they did the Princess collection, or that's what I call it. I'm not exactly sure. Probably just to do something different. I remember at first I was kind of disappointed in that because I just wanted them to continue what they were doing, but not continually duplicate the same countries. What I thought was always strange was there's so many countries they could concentrate on, and yet they do too much duplication. That's the one thing I think I would criticize about this series. And you know, as with any series, there are going to be dolls you like and dolls you don't like, and there's definitely some duds in the Dolls of the World in my mind, but there's a lot of really good ones. On the back of the box, they still tell you about the country and about why she's wearing the type of clothing that she's wearing. It also, which I think is so important, and they don't do enough, shows you the other dolls that are possible in the series. They used to do that all the time, and then they don't do that as much these days, I think. So this one is from, let's see what year this was, if I can find it. Here it is. Well, I thought I found it. Okay, well, we're going to move on. I don't see it right this second. It's just all that lettering. So this is a nice Japanese doll, and I, of course, love the costume on this one as well. I did think this was kind of one of the more unique Asian dolls that they did up until then, and it was a lot smaller as far as the face and the features, and you know, more realistic. So that's Japanese Barbie, or Princess of Japan. And then moving on, one other Asian doll to show you, and this is truly the most different one you're going to see of all the ones I show you today, because this is the only male doll so far, excuse me, in the Dolls of the World collection. And this is from 2010. It's a Japanese Ken doll, or Japan Ken doll they call it. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, but I wanted it as soon as I saw it because it was just so different. I mean, you know, again, the first male doll of the collection. So, very cool outfit, samurai. So, you know, that's nice. But like I said, this is from 2010. And the box, not quite so detailed. It doesn't show you where Japan is, or tell you a whole lot about it, but it tells you more about this particular one and why it is the way it is, or why the costume is the way it is. And then the last two we're going to talk about today. A few years ago, I saw this doll at Toys R Us, and actually this is, I guess, more than a few. 2009, time flies. And I just loved this doll. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was an example of what they were doing that was so new and different. and that is the Italian Barbie of the time. I had her out on display for a while in a cabinet that I have, but then I eventually put her back to alternate some other dolls out. So here she is. This is the Italian Barbie, and it was just, if I can get that glare off there, it was, and get the doll, here we go. It was just so different, and you know, it to me signified an improvement in the dolls of the world, and it continued to this day. Now, I have to say that the last batch or two, or whatever you want to call them, the group of dolls of the world, I haven't been as impressed with as ones like this and the French doll that was in this same collection, which, as you see, they did not put the dolls that are available on here. I don't know why they don't do that. It's such a waste. You could put it right here. So why they don't do that is beyond me. It's just common sense to show you what else is available if you don't know, for those who don't know. And the last doll we're going to talk about today, this one is from it's from that same Princesses collection that we talked about. And this is from 2003, actually, so it's a little further back than the last one we just looked at. And this is the Princess of Ancient Greece. And, I mean, she's just stunning. I mean, look at the hair, look at the outfit, and the face. I mean, beautiful. Just very beautiful. And I think it's extremely impressive. It does have some of the other dolls available in that collection at the time, and of course a lot of information about ancient Greece and this particular doll, what she represents. And if you look at, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look closely to the outfit, you see all this nice detail, so that's really cool on the front of her outfit here. So a beautiful doll. Anyway, I'm gonna close for now, but I hope you've enjoyed this start of a look at the dolls of the world. And I've tried to show some from different eras, or different time periods, I should say, throughout this last 30 years. I think that I showed a good representation, but there's so many more to show. I mean, I have a wall of dolls of the world, and I have ones up here on display that are you know, out of the box. So I'm going to show you some more next week, and in the meantime, have a good week. Take care, everybody.